Good afternoon and welcome. I am Sam Hayes, and this is Why with One Stop. Hate TCs? I know why. Let's talk about the good, bad, and the ugly. A little bit about me, if you haven't joined me before, I've been doing this for over 2 decades here in Southern California. I love being a transaction coordinator. I've assisted with over 7,000 transactions. I'm car certified as a transaction coordinator, certified as a car forms trainer, all sorts of bells and whistles behind my name. Basically, I'm a big nerd, and this is what I love to do. Everything I'm about to share with you, please make sure you verify with the broker of record of the file you are working on. So, hey, TCs. I've been a transaction coordinator for over 22 years. I love being a TC. I am also a licensed realtor. I get every bit of alphabet soup behind my name because that's the business model I've chosen. I want to start this off saying this is my opinion of things about TCs. You're going to need to verify with every different TC you work with. This is just kind of a general understanding I've seen over the past 2 decades. Also, again, you're always going to verify everything with that broker, make sure that they're okay with it since they're ultimately responsible. I want to share with you my mission statement because this kind of shows what I think about TCs. My objective is to create a defendable, risk management focused, and well documented file in compliance with the DRE, broker, and statutory requirements. I provide additional bandwidth to the agents brokers I assist by freeing up their time and energy to focus and pursue their business generation goals. Obviously, got a fun typo there, but we'll get that fixed. Bottom line, I'm here to help my agents. TCs are here to help. Our whole position was created because there was a need. And this is a niche. And just as there's so much information out there during a transaction, we have to have multiple different parties and different pieces working on the transaction with us. That's why we have somebody run escrow to run the money. We have somebody running title. We have an inspector. We've got the broker. We've got the two different agents. And then you've got somebody doing all the paperwork. There are about 80 different things that I have to check in when I'm doing an average file. And that's with time frames, making sure we have proper documentation, what city, what state, what's county, what's fiduciary, what's in the contract, what's statutory. There's a ton of stuff that I have to know. So this is what I focus on. I don't go into CMAs. I don't go into inputting listings. I am focused on making sure that I've got a file that you can defend in court. That is always my focus since day one. There are no requirements to be a transaction coordinator. That's probably where some of this frustration comes from. There truly are none. Different brokers can have their own in-house requirements, but to be a TC, there is no official, you must have this license, you must have this certification, you must have this education. Doesn't exist. There is the certification with the state of California. That's the only official state one that I'm aware of. There may be others. So I got a CTC when it first came out. God, 2013, 12, 13. I know I was in one of the first classes to get through. It's something I do believe in. I think that anything when it's an opportunity to be educated in something that you are choosing as a profession, you should do. And I am a big believer in having a license as a TC because I need to be able to stand my ground, agent to agent, talk to a broker. I did the same education that you did. I have just chosen to play with the paperwork. I don't want to show people houses in my car. I don't want to do it. I don't want to go out and do open houses and all of that. It's not my thing. I like being at home, yelling at my screen, typically looking like pebbles, going, "What are you doing?" Because it taps into something inside of me to protect people. I like to be a protector. I like compliance. I like to get things in a nice, tidy order. I like to be able to say, "I told you so." It taps into all of that stuff for me. So when you're dealing with different transaction coordinators, you're going to want to make sure that you have a great mesh and understanding of the one you work with. And there are different TCs for different agents, just as we know different realtors work differently, or different real estate agents if they choose not to be a realtor, or different brokers. It's a whole gamut, as we know. There's a couple of basics, but really you get to run this job any way you like to. So when somebody says, well, you have to do this to be a TC, have to? That's a strong word. Good idea. Risk management might be better for your compliance. Different conversation. So circling back, there are no requirements to be a transaction coordinator. There's no license, there's no certification, there's no education, none of it. It is subject to the broker of record and what they require on their file. There are several different types of TCs, and there are probably other ones out there. And again, this is my opinion, my understanding. You're going to want to verify all again with that TC and that broker what they consider or want or licensed. But this is my general experience again from doing this nonstop, it feels like, for the past 22 years. So we have licensed and unlicensed transaction coordinators. We have independent versus in-house. Well, what's the difference between the four? And what are the benefits and detriments? Some work better for certain things, some work better for others. So we're going to kind of go through that real quick and just kind of do a quick overview. Again, this is not the Bible. This is not the perfect analogy. This is just my understanding and my interpretation and how I see it. Licensed TC. So typically a licensed TC holds a real estate license. They may have had sales experience. They may have chosen to come out of the field and want to be working from home. They may be somebody who does both TCs and sells properties, property management, anything that requires a license. They may actually be a realtor. I am a realtor by choice. I have an AR number. I pay my dues. I have MLS access. I have my own, all the thing, Glide, everything like that, because that's the business model I've chosen. Not every TC has that. If they're at the same broker. So when I work for agents that where I hang my brokerage, I'm able to do a little bit more because I'm another agent within that brokerage. I'm working underneath my own broker where my license is hung. That lets me have a different bandwidth. I get involved on a different level with those. I act as an office manager for my broker in a lot of ways to help with compliance and risk management on top of TCing and doing the files. If I work for somebody who is at a different brokerage than mine, because I am licensed, I have to then take that license and kind of step back away from it and act only as an admin on those TC files. I have to be very careful that I don't cross into acting as an agent because again, then we have antitrust issues, or I'm also, my broker is responsible for everything I do as an agent. So if it's construed I was acting as an agent for another brokerage, we got a big problem. That's one of the things I see happen a lot with different files where I'll have different TCs or agents ask TCs to do things that cross into that license acting as an agent. Be careful. There are only certain things we can do because that's our lane. Just as there are only certain things escrow can do and title can do and the lender can do. We all must be aware of it. If it's negotiating, if I'm changing terms of a contract, if I'm establishing a relationship, anything along those lines that can be seen as agency, I need to have a very clear understanding of my role in the transaction and stay in my lane and not overstep. I will make a phone call a lot of times to clients of mine, say, hey, I've seen in my experience on these files previously, this has been a problem. You're going to want to check with your broker of record, check with your E&O, check with your car legal. I'm not the last voice on this, but I will definitely be the red flag or the canary in the tunnel going, hey, problem, we got a problem. Don't do that. And it's one of those things where you've got to make sure. I see a lot of times I've lost clients where they're like, well, you won't draft all my documents for me. I can't. I am licensed at a different brokerage. That is literally, I cannot do it. Or I won't touch a FSBO as a licensed TC because I'm the only licensee on that transaction. And if anything goes south, I'm being held to the standard as an agent for a TC fee. And that ROI and risk just doesn't match. So those are some of the things you got to think about. There's great benefits to a licensed TC, but there are some detriments and you got to be careful about it. Non-licensed TCs. There are people out there that don't have a license. No problem. They have chosen not to, and they go ahead and do TCing. There is an unlicensed guide from the DRE that I will put on the YouTube, drop it down below, and I'll put it also in my Facebook group, the link to it, where it is very clear what you are allowed to do as an unlicensed assistant or anybody working on the file without a license. It is a very, very restricted, can't discuss price, cannot be doing anything. You can check signatures, you can send documents, but you can't be the one saying, well, this is what you need to correct on your file, and this is what you need to correct here, and everything along those lines. It's very, very careful. How they access the forms. Zip Forms just added a TC access. I prefer to work with Glide personally because I like that the agent and I are on the file together. I can see what they're doing. They can see what I'm doing. We have everything comes out underneath their name. It's not an issue. Non-licensed TCs also tend to be more of just file processors, where because they are limited by not having that license, what they are able to do, what they know, education, those type of things. It really depends on that TC, their choice of their business model, why they didn't get licensed or did, and moving forward. But you need to be careful and stay within compliance because, again, the broker is ultimately responsible for the file. And so the broker has full control over who processes it, how it's processed, and then has that accountability if something goes south. Independent TC. So I'm an independent TC. What does that mean? I have my license hung at a brokerage, but I work from home, have for 22 years. I'm completely feral. I can't go anywhere else. I can't go back into an office, I think, at this point. What that means is I am not a direct employee of any brokerage. I'm an independent contractor with my license, and I work as an independent contractor. I'm a 1099. I have my own office, my own equipment. I actually have my own forms access. Some do, some don't. That's why I like Glide. It allows us to work together. Everything's in the agent's name down at the bottom. We're good to go. It's all synced up. I carry my own E&O insurance. I actually was a very early advocate for E&O insurance for TCs to the point of I fought my TC friends who are now all carry it, which I'm very grateful that they do. But everybody thought I was insane. They're like, why would you need, we don't need E&O, Sam. Nobody's going to sue us. We're not party to the contract. No, but poop runs downhill. And so if we've got a situation where a file is in a lawsuit, everybody's going to get named. And that brokerage that I work for, if I'm TCing as an admin, so I don't have an agent hat on, I'm just working as a TC in an administrative capacity, that broker's, typically will not cover me or any TC that you're choosing to have come in that is not part of the brokerage. So I carry my own, I've had it with Crest for years and years and years. I carry $1 million policy. I think it's worth every single penny. I have never, knock on whatever, had to have any issue with it, but it's something I'm keeping around all the time. I definitely, you're going to want to verify that. It's definitely opened doors for me. You want to get a copy of it. If anybody ever wants a copy of my, let me know. I will happily send it over to you. It's part of the package I send when I introduce myself to any new clients as well, just so they can see it and present to their brokers. The broker is ultimately responsible for the file. So a lot of people get up in arms when they're, well, I was told I can only work with this TC. I want to bring my TC into a brokerage. Be careful. And it makes sense because the broker's got exposure. So the broker's got to keep an eye on what's going on. And the broker gets to say, I want it processed this way under these regulations, under this TC. I want it under this supervision. That's their right. And I get where I hear other TCs get very upset and get very mad and, well, they get to pick their vendors and they get to pick all. We're not the same. We're not party of the contract. We're not getting picked up. We're not something that is being paid for by anybody, typically by a buyer or a seller. And we are not working in the same capacity. We're doing a job that is an agent's job. We're here to assist and give them more bandwidth to do more work. It's not the same as title and escrow. We don't fall under the same RESPA regulations. We got to be very careful about where we fall under those, especially if you're having your clients pay for us, but that's a whole other conversation. So double check with your broker. If you've got a TC you've worked with for years, awesome. Make sure that you connect them with your broker ahead of time. If you're going to switch gears, switch brokerages, find out what's required, get us all in touch with each other. It's better to be up above board and say, look, this is somebody who is part of my team and helps me succeed and generate the revenue that we're all hoping I'm going to do versus, well, I'm just going to make it work and we sneak around and then we've got everybody upset and nobody's getting paid and it's a hot mess. So there are great benefits, again, to working with an independent TC. I love it. I love being on my own. It works better for me, but your broker may not agree and you need to find out what the requirements are to move forward with them. Now, an in-house TC, typically, not always, again, these are my opinions, verify all, typically is a W-2 direct employee of a brokerage. The broker may say you can only use the in-house TC. That is their right. They typically have office hours. They are physically sometimes located in the brokerage, sometimes not. So it's a little bit more where they are more of a 9 to 5 situation. They're in the house, they're working, but they're also stuck working with any agent in-house, where as independent, I can tell you to pound sand in half. Actually, I worked in-house for a while and did fire 2 agents, but we made them behave, so it worked out. More along the lines of they're going to have to go through and be more processing. They're going to have a tighter time frame, tighter turnarounds. A lot of, again, they're going to have weekends off usually, maybe not available in the evenings. That's up to that TC and what the brokerage requires what their employment contract requires. But those are the four really different pieces. And you can have a licensed in-house, you can have an unlicensed in-house, you can have an unlicensed independent, you can have a licensed independent, you can have, I'm working towards becoming a broker so I can be a broker associate, be able to do anything I need to for any of my clients. It's a little bit of all these different pieces. It really depends on that TC and their business model or what they have decided for their employment situation and how they're working with their broker of record or whichever brokerage they're working with. So now that we know all about what are the different TCs, and here's a little bit of history and where I'm coming from. I know that TCs make agents insane. I get it. I understand that there are people who like, I've had the worst experience with this TC and they were terrible. Well, okay, let's circle back to there's no regulations, there's no training. We actually created our own training. A lot of TCs, there's now a California group. I've been part of trying to do a national group. I've got my own TC group that I've run for years and years and years. We started helping each other train because we weren't included. Here in San Diego, we started a hub going on 16 years ago. I looked at everybody and sent out a message for Cesar Chavez Day because it's a day that the county recorder's closed here in San Diego, but not a usual holiday. And I think it fell on a Thursday that year. And I invited everybody out to have drinks because we were all working together, didn't know each other, really kind of pitted against each other. It was terrible. And then we went and had cocktails and became a team and be able to support each other and be able to be there for each other to help with camaraderie and make sure we're taking care of our clients. There's plenty of business in San Diego to go around or any other location. Working with others that do what you do and sharing knowledge is really key. So we come across kind of bossy because we have to have all this knowledge in our heads. And I've had multiple agents who have had frustration and everything else because they didn't work with any of us in this group who focus on trying to be smarter because we weren't getting the training we needed. And we're know-it-alls and we're bossy and we're annoying. I mean, I've called out car legal lives and made Neil apologize to all the TCs after talking smack about us in one of the presentations. It's not, well, the TC is doing this or the TC is making, we are complying with what the broker has required us to have in that file. That's what we're doing. We're demanding these things because we want our agents to get paid on time. And if you don't have a complete file, you don't get paid on time. That's not a happy agent. And with the way the market's been going the past few years, I know how important and timely those checks are. So if we're pushing, it's because we are pushing because we are on the team of our client and our broker that broke the brokers of that agent. We are trying to make sure that everything's in compliance and both sides have defendable files that the DRE can audit. So yes, we are know-it-alls. We're totally know-it-alls. We spend all day looking at these contracts. We spend all day looking at this paperwork, searching it, trying to find an answer. That's what we do. We better be know-it-alls. That's our job. We have our ongoing self-education and trainings. We TCs have created our own stuff. We do now more and more. I'm really happy in a lot of ways that CAR has started to realize welcoming TCs to the trainings, the educations, SDAR, same thing for accessibility. I luckily have always had my, CAR, SDAR, NAR memberships. So that's gotten me in the door to be able to take these classes because it's important. I want to know because that's the value I bring to my clients. I know you don't have time to go to these classes. I know you don't want to sit through them. I love this stuff. I'll sit there and nerd out. I usually heckle the instructor. It's a hot mess, but I leave knowing more. And I love that because I want to use my knowledge to protect my clients. Bottom line, that's what we're here for. We are focused on that compliance. That is our job. We are supposed to be making sure this stuff is in at this time frame. We know it's statutory that's required. There are different things that are required in the state of California for different types of sales. 1 to 4 unit. We got a probate. Is it TDS exempt? Vacant land? We need to know that. We have checklists that are given to us that we have to complete. That is our job. So when we're nitpicking and saying, well, this is demanded, this and that, this, there's a reason. We're trying to get that compliant file per that broker's request. Now, I will take a moment to talk about just because your broker wants it in a file, if it's not in the contract, it is not civil code, and it is not statutory required, doesn't mean you're going to get it. Well, the broker wants it. That's lovely. I am super happy the broker wants it. Put it in the contract. If you want certain documents, oh, we have to have this. Our broker requires it. There are certain forms that do not apply on every single file. Just because you have a file checker who doesn't understand all the forms does not mean we're going to participate in that. And when you have different documents that are created by your legal team to protect your brokerage, that may not be of best interest to my side of the file. I'm going to review it and send it over to the broker of record and go, hey, are you okay with this verbiage? And they may or may not be, but if it is not in that contract, they do not have to sign it. So keep that in mind when everybody's demanding things. Well, my broker wants. I appreciate that. My broker wants a lot of things too. But is it contractual? Is it statutory? Is it civil code? Do we need to do this for risk management? What is the highest and best also for the client I'm working with? Because your client is not my client. And I need to be able to defend and protect my client. That needs to be the focus. It's our job. It's our job to be a know-it-all. Bottom line, it's our job. So that's why I know that's one of the crazy making things that make people hate TCs. I get it, but there are reasons why we're like this. And it's probably hard when you, being agents, I know the last few years have been challenging. And when you were doing 1 to 4 files on a good year, past couple of years, versus we're doing 100 plus, we're going to know things and see things because we're in these forms all day. Just as I would not try and run a CMA. I wouldn't be able to tell you what should be square footage, price per square footage here in Kensington. No clue. That's why you're good at your job and we're good at our job and we partner up together. We pick apart docs. Well, yeah, that's our job. We're supposed to find, you hired us to do that. We're supposed to find the missing signatures and the missing information. By doing that, we can fix it. As soon as we find it, oops, there was a boo-boo. We're all human. It's okay. No big deal. Let's fix it. That's why we have addendums. That's why we have all the different ways to correct things and update. And when we find those problems early, we can deal with it before contingencies are removed, before we're about to go to docs, before we've got a moving van filled up and everybody's freaking out. Let's deal with it in the moment. Take that 5 minutes. We're going to save time on that closing. We're going to save time getting ready for the underwriter to go through stuff. Let's stop and think about it. Taking a beat and taking a breath with us picking it apart is really to your highest and best. We are trying to protect you. As I like to tell my agents, I am fearful. I am a crazy paranoid freak. Worst case scenario, the world is falling. It's terrible. So you can look at your clients and go, we can take care of that. You can be fearless and you can do what you need to do for your job and taking care of your clients. That's why we're a great team. That's why you need somebody having your back and a second set of eyes to look at your stuff. That enables you to breathe and your broker to breathe and all of us to work together and have respect for everybody doing their highest and best skill set. And we're not the only ones who review the file. There are file checkers that go through and pick stuff apart that we might not even catch, or maybe more detailed, or maybe they don't understand the nuances of this transaction. So then we have to go back and be able to provide documentation that, yes, we assigned the contract, then we unassigned the contract, but now we're doing this one, but it's okay. But here's the documents and here's proof and blah, 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 blah. They are trying to make sure that the file is protecting the brokerage. That's the whole point of all of this. California is the sue me state. Reality. The more we can have in writing, the better off everybody's going to be. Then there is a neutral third party. It's a document. That's what everything was agreed to. So when in 6 months down the line, everybody's losing their minds, we have something calm, centered, and agreed to circle back to. It's due diligence. We're doing our job. That's why we're here. TC should keep their mouths shut. They don't know better than agents. They don't know better than brokers. Not always. Just because they have that title does not mean you may have had as much experience. And we're here to assist with the transaction. So if there's a problem, I'm going to speak up. I don't want you in litigation for the next 9 months. I would so much rather you were mad at me for next 3 hours. I wish you were so angry that you never want to speak to me again. If it makes sure that you didn't have to spend 9 months dealing with a client who's upset and losing part of your commission, you be angry at me as much as you want. That is fine by me. I did my job. I've showed my value. I am here for it. I will ignore you if you're being mean to me, but bottom line is that is why we're here. We need to make sure that you're using the most up-to-date forms. If you're not using the most up-to-date forms, E&O can deny your claim if something goes south. I like my E&O. I like the protection. I don't want that happening. You also may lose the protections of the car forms and all the legal that comes with that if we are not using the most up-to-date form. It is important. It's a big deal. That's why we're picking stuff. That's why we speak up. That's why we say we've seen this problem before. Dealing with different solar. I know there's a different issue with one of them having bankruptcy right now. We speak up because when we've seen problems on all these other files that we're touching, we're trying to bring value and knowledge to you. We are not sitting here trying to tear apart your expertise. We're adding to it. We are assisting and providing support. That's why you hired us. That's what we're here for. We are not yes people. We are here to defend, and it's really important. We also constantly are aware any and all files can be audited by the DRE at any time. I am still waiting for more and more to get pulled with what's been going on with Net, potential more litigation coming, all the changes going down. Everybody is double checking and watching over their shoulders. Let us help you and do that by doing our job. And telling somebody they are just a TC is one of the most petty, sad, small-minded things that could ever be said. It is cruel, it is unkind, and we are professionals who have come in to assist and elevate the transaction by making sure that everything is taken care of to the best of our abilities for your file documentation. Just a TC is belittling and not understanding all the value transaction coordinators bring. It makes me nuts. And it's an insult that's thrown around a lot, and it's very cruel. And just honestly, we're better than that. Just a TC, then you haven't worked with a good TC, and I'm sorry about that. However, then you're just an agent because you have not taken the time to educate yourself about all the nuances that are involved in a transaction. Well, they're always stalking me. TCs follow up too much. They're always bugging me. That's their job. That's their job. We're supposed to follow up and get stuff. We're supposed to check on time frames. We're supposed to do that to free you up so you can go do the rest of your job. Inspections, negotiating repairs, dealing with appraisals, getting everything to the lender, keeping everybody on track, dealing with the buyer's dad, sisters, brothers, cousin, who knows more than you do. Yeah, that's why we're on these time frames to keep you going moving forward. That's why we're always following up. The requests in the file are documentation. If you don't want to give it to me or you're ignoring me, cool. But I can prove that I asked for it and I did my due diligence to protect the client. I can prove that we stayed within time frames. That's why I'm going to ask. And as long as I have that in writing, I'm doing my job for that broker. The broker has the ultimate call for moving forward. So does the client if the buyer or the seller wants to do. But I need to do that. And I'm going to document it and I'm going to keep repeating and keep asking until I get what I need. It's what I do. I am a really good stalker. Also, our communication regarding delays allows us, we need to know, well, if you have negotiated with the other agent, well, we've all talked about it, it's fine. Well, okay, one, agents are not party to the contract, so anything you've agreed to is not an agreement of the contract. Two, I need to document that so that if we get audited, I can show that everybody agreed to this extension, being the buyer and the seller, the parties that are part of the contract. We also get to make sure that then we've changed this time frame, then we know when to update the follow-up. We then update when contingencies are due. We can update, oh, we're waiting for the roof to be worked on so they can do the final investigation and then we'll remove that contingency. Cool. But tell us. We can stop stalking if you give me a target date. But if I don't hear from you, I'm going to keep bugging you like crazy because I don't know what's going on. And I need to, again, protect that agent, protect that broker, protect that buyer or seller by showing we followed up. We kept asking. We did our due diligence on our side of the fence. That's why we follow up so much. That's why we're bugging. So maybe I've gotten my agents used to, I should say, CC me on everything. Just CC me. I read them all. I read all my emails. Well, that's going to be too many emails. It's amazing. I just drop them in a file. It's fine. I would rather know what's going on because then I also can share with you if I've had an experience or I know this situation or I've seen something happen or I might have a suggestion you may not know about. You don't know. We see more than you do when we see more files. We see more things out there. Let us help. Keep us in the loop. Communicate with us. We can rein in some of the follow-up when we know what the heck's going on. We shouldn't challenge agents and brokers. They know everything. Okay, if it's wrong, it's wrong. I don't care who wrote it. If it is wrong, it's wrong. That's it. This isn't a challenge. This is a statement. Just because you have a license does not mean you know more than somebody. There are different levels of experience. While it's very important, I have mad respect for all the diligence to get the licenses. I'm a big fan. I have alphabet soup behind my name. That doesn't mean I know every single thing. I wish I did. I truly wish I did. I wish it was perfect. I wish I was amazingly boom, wave my magic wand. It's all That's not what happens. It's better to speak up. It's better to bring it up now. It's better to document that was brought up, it brought to everybody's attention, because we all know you close escrow and suddenly there's no memory. It's gone. We didn't have that conversation. I have no proof of that conversation. You never told me that. I want $10 million. I would like to avoid that for you. So let's write it down. Let's document it. Let me challenge it. Let me question it. Let me help. That's what I'm here for. I am constantly under education. Forms get updated twice a year. I'm about to be ready for the June match that should be dropping here anytime when they have their Form 1 forms. I am constantly trying to be ready so that I know what's coming up for you, the new laws, what's changing with all the lawsuits. I need to know that. That makes me a knowledge broker. That makes me be able to bring value and service to my clients and my brokerages. I want to solve these problems. I like puzzles. It makes me happy. Know that that's why we're challenging. That's why we question things and go, hey, I think I just saw. I'm also a big fan of citing third party, getting the quick guides, bringing stuff in from CAR, showing where it is in the contract. I am that bossy pants that will send you a screenshot because I want to make sure maybe I'm reading it wrong. Maybe I'm crazy. Who knows? But it's important. That's why we're doing all this, is we know that we want to make sure you don't have a problem down the line. We don't have a problem down the line. Broker doesn't have a problem down the line. We cleaned it up. We've got it properly documented. Everything's covered. That's our goal. So yes, we do challenge. And if it's not right, it's not right. Well, they're so bossy and they're so, yes, we're very bossy. We're very demanding. We are trying to get you paid. We are trying to make sure you've got a defendable file. We are trying to stay in compliance with the brokerage. We are trying to make sure that everything is done so you can keep doing. Because if you can't work because you've lost your license or there's been a challenge, we don't have work. Let's be real. I have no job without agents. So yes, I will demand, because I will do anything possible to protect my agent and my file and make sure we have that proper documentation. It's what is needed. I mean, I shouldn't say anything possible, but you understand what I mean. I want to show that I've done the follow-up. I want to show that we're doing clarification. We are working from a checklist of requirements that the broker wants at a different time frames. We have to follow that. That is our job. That is our to-do list. So we're checking files, new docs coming in, things getting signed. Hey, where is this? Hey, where is this? We're on a crunch. Let's go. Different documents have different time requirements. Seller's got to have disclosures over within 7 days. Buyer has 17 days to review them. Buyer's supposed to return signed escrow docs within 5 days. HOA docs are supposed to be ordered within 3 days. Notice perform is this many days. You have 3 days to respond to a counter or a request for repairs. There's constant time frames going. That's why we are following up and demanding, because we know we're juggling this time versus this time versus this time. It's a lot going on, just as you have so much going on. We don't want anything to get missed. So we do the follow-up. We are demanding this because we're trying to create buffers in case we've got somebody suddenly traveling internationally and maybe they need to go schedule a notary at an embassy. That's a fun one. You know how that can delay a close. Or maybe you've got somebody who suddenly has gone backpacking for 2 weeks and has no internet whatsoever. That happens. We all know that happens. I mean, tell your sellers, plan a trip and that's property's going to get sold, or any agent plan your vacation, you're suddenly going to get busy. It's the reality of all this. So we're juggling those time frames. That's why we're demanding. We're trying to get ahead of the problems. That's our focus all the time. We are hired to free up your time. We're here to do the follow-up so that you have more time to go generate business. We're here to make sure that you can have some stuff taken off your plate so that you've got the bandwidth to make your dreams come true and create the business that you want. That's the goal. So yeah, I'm going to be bossy about that. I want to get stuff done. Let's get it going. And I have multiple files going, just as you have multiple. You've got different pots going. You've got these buyers over here, and we got a listing down the line. Oh, I've got some sellers that I want to follow up with and see if they've got some friends to refer me to. You've got a lot where you're juggling. We do too. To survive at a TC fee rate, we need to be working on multiple files at a time. So we are also doing the same juggling. We are demanding because we know we have schedules that we have to adhere to, and we know each one of those files has a schedule it has to adhere to. So yes, we want to keep things moving forward. That is what we do. We are on target all the time for your success. That is our focus. Well, I wouldn't pay for a TC. They're not worth it. I know I have saved my agents my fee plus. I have made them money every year because of the time I've freed them up. I've got my agents typically to be able to take on 3 to 5 more, depending on the year, files at least. And that's a base one. TCs have a lot of value just in your time alone, the brain noise, to be able to focus on other things. That value is huge. You can take on more clients. We're paid by the file. You don't have a carrying cost for me. I'm not on your payroll. I'm not somebody you have to worry about making enough money to pay for. I'm over here on call and I get paid when you get paid for my business model. That's not all TCs, but that's my business model. So we free the value, you don't have carrying costs and you've got an expert in your back pocket. That's awesome. We focus on mitigating the risk and your exposure. That is really what we're here to do. That saves you time, that saves you money, that saves you stress. Brain noise is expensive. That can derail you from what you should be doing, making your calls, notes pop by. Stole that from Brian Buffini, but it's true. That's what it's about. We are worth every penny. And honestly, the average in California is a bit low. I truly feel that I don't think there's been enough value seen for what we do, and we need to speak up more. So I am definitely taking this moment as a little bit of a glitter soapbox that the value that TCs bring you is huge. And asking to lowball or low because things are whatever, it's not fair. That's an insult to somebody who's an expert that you have approached and hired as such. We are experts in what we do because we are professionals and we are paid for the expertise we bring to the transaction. Off my soapbox, at least for a moment on that one. Well, you have your own schedule. I can't find my TC. Well, we're not your assistant. And different TCs work differently. As we talked about, an in-house TC is a 9 to 5 situation typically. Could be different. My statement is what I tell my agents is I understand this is not a 9 to 5 business. I understand that you could get a phone call at 9 o'clock on a Saturday and have a client in total panic. I would rather mitigate and deal with it then than I would see they're already coming through as I say that. I would rather mitigate and deal with it then on Saturday than let them be upset for 24 hours and suddenly Monday we've got a cancellation coming. At the same time, I ask for the same grace if I need to go take care of something for my family that might be in the middle of the afternoon or something along those lines. We understand and we work with each other. We know that this is going to have to be an ebb and flow kind of business. And that's what I look for. I don't keep a set schedule. I have some goals and I'm usually accessible at certain times, but really, I'm pretty much on call 24/7 is the way my business model is. Not always the brightest thing I've created, but it is reality, just as you are as an agent, because you never know when a client may need you. My priority is the next file closing. If it's closing today, that's going to be my top priority. If there's something that's been straggling, whoever's closing next is my biggest priority because I have time on the other ones. Even if we've had contingencies removed, there's still time to review. There's time. Once I'm recorded, that's a done deal. And then we're no longer involved, and that's when the lawsuits can start. So that's where I'm going to focus my time first. That's always going to be my priority. You may have an emergency. We may have somebody getting on a plane. Then we'll shuffle. But communication about your needs instead of, well, I just expect them to be available for me all the time. That's not how this works. We're not paid to be on, on call sitting there waiting. That would be an admin or somebody else that you're paying to be ready at these certain time frames. Work with your TC, talk to them, involve them in the transaction, help management mitigate down all the stress. Loop us in and then we can work together. That's the whole goal. But when it's just an expectation and it's not communicated, you got a problem. It can be a challenge. We're here to support you guys. Again, we don't have a job without agents. We don't have a job without brokerages. We don't have a job without sales. We need you. We're here to support you. We are here to make your lives better. That is our ultimate goal is how can we make this free up and do what we love, which is checking the boxes and checking the signatures and nerding out over here and then letting you guys go do what you love. I don't want to show people property. I don't want to go to open houses. I don't. I love this part of real estate. I love being able to solve problems and I love being able to protect people. It just taps into my joy. Really, truly, working with a TC could be business changing for you. If you haven't worked with one, please feel free to give me a call. If it's not me, I know I'm a lot and I'm definitely an acquired taste. I have a ton of TCs nationwide. We can find you a TC to work with. We can find you the right match. There are plenty of people out there, and it would be so great to make sure that you have a growing, glowing business, no matter what the economy is, because you are centered and fulfilled and know what your target is and know you've got people that have your back. That's just game changer right there. So let's make sure you get that because that's the whole goal of all this. So that's my quick little bit of all that. What we're going to talk about next week is what's the difference between a short sale and a foreclosure. Then we're going to go into loan broker, sales broker, and the 24-hour rule. I have a lot of clients that are mortgage lenders as well as agents, Or if you have one broker who has an agent and a mortgage broker under them, there is a 24-hour rule you've got to have documents in on. A lot of people have no idea what that is. So let's talk about it. Make sure you don't get that problem because it is civil code, our favorite word. We'll do the end of the month recap of what went wrong. Here's all the drama at the end of March. And then I'll do what's the difference between a notice to perform and a demand to close escrow, because there is a difference, and timing on those really can impact when they can be served, all that fun stuff. So we'll go into that in detail. I'm always open to whatever topic you'd like to hear about. Granted, these are always subject to change in case any major changes in our industry, anything coming up. I'm available for videos, all that fun stuff if you need that in-person training. And always feel free to give me a call, email, text, message me on Facebook. If you have any questions, even if I'm not the TC on the file, I'm happy to share with you. From my perspective, I will always tell you, verify with the broker of record, call Car Legal, double check with your E&O. But here's been my experience, and this is my understanding. This has definitely been a little bit longer one, a little bit soapbox here of, because it's close to my heart. I think anybody who chooses to be a transaction coordinator is amazing because I love what I do. It brings me joy. I am so grateful to all the clients that I've had who have chosen to work with me. And I look forward to working with new people this year. I do have some bandwidth to take anybody on. As always, thank you for joining me. This was Why with One Stop. I'm Sam Hayes. Don't hate on your TCs. We're really here to bring you as much support and increase your business as we can. Call anytime with questions, 619-993-7264. Thanks so much. Have a great day. I appreciate you being here today. And my phone, of course, is going. I can't have a Zoom where there isn't something going off. Have a great day. Thanks.